Hey everyone, welcome back to Valorem Visions episode 12, where we're going to be talking and diving into Agent 365 and how we're going to govern and scale AI agents in the enterprise. I'm Andrew Brower, and today we're tackling one of the fastest emerging challenges in enterprise AI, not just building agents, but understanding how to govern them at scale. I can't tell you how many clients that I've had conversations with that are ready to build these agents, are really excited for what they need to do, but then all of a sudden they have this huge agent sprawl, right? And so in the reality, agents are already being built, as I kind of mentioned, in Copilot and Power Platform and other third-party tools without really having that kind of IT oversight and understanding on whether or not they're productive, are they stale, do we need to get rid of them, etc. So the question today isn't if you're going to have agents in your environment. We know everybody's on the trend now and it's become cemented in our everyday work, but it's really going to be how now do we manage them securely. So joining me today is Shahid. Shahid, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Andrew. This is exactly where organizations are starting to feel pressure. They've got agents, but not all the structure around them.
Yeah. So before we get into the details, as always, we love to visualize what we're going to be talking about, introducing it in the Valorem Visions board. So if you take a second and open up the whiteboard and introduce the Agent 365 and how it helps us manage and govern our agents securely.
Sure, pull up the whiteboard. It's always fun doing whiteboard stuff. I'm sure my skills have gotten better from last time.
Let's hope so. We'll be the judge.
Alrighty, so here we have the whiteboard. For Agent 365 to demonstrate in a visual way for people who haven't heard about Agent 365, I draw 3 layers. So I'm going to draw 3 layers here. I'm just going to take this. So we take 3 rectangles here. Let's give them names. All right. So this here is going to be our enterprise systems and data. This is going to be our M365 layer, M365 environment. It's going to be our Copilot Studio. Let's see, here we go. It works now. This is going to be our Foundry. And we got Security Copilot. All right. So here is your typical environment. Oh, we can add one more block here for third-party agent. You can see, yep. And then we move this here, we move this here. All right. Here you got your third-party agents. So let's see, third-party tools. Cool beats. All right. So in a typical environment here, in an Azure environment, you'll have your enterprise systems and data. You'll have your M365 environment. That is your Azure tenants, your M365 workloads. And then in a typical M365 environment, you'll have agents coming in from Copilot Studio, Foundry, Security Copilot, and other third-party tools that we integrate from outside during development, during production. So the thing here is we have a lot of agents coming into our environment. Some of these agents can be governed, some of these agents can't be governed. Typically, when a new agent, a new product comes into an environment, there needs to be certain governance or certain structure around it on who can create those agents, on why those agents need to be created. So anybody could access Copilot Studio or Foundry or Security Copilot or third-party tools, and they can go in and create those agents. And we want people to create agents. We want people to get efficient. We want people to get more productive in today's time. We want people to embrace AI to make them more productive and increase their output. But then that needs to be done in a fashion that is secure and that is equitable. Meaning, not everybody can go in and just create agents on their web, right? Because what if someone creates an agent that sort of queries private data or confidential data in an organization? We can't have
Sure.
people, querying in financial records when they don't belong to the financial department. Or we can't have a non-IT person querying into the IT for passwords and stuff like that. So that is the sort of risk that we're seeing nowadays in organizations. People are using agents for all sort of activities, good and bad. We want to promote the positive aspects of agents. And that's where this Agent 365 comes into place. This is your control plane or the Agent 365. Now, Agent 365 sort of binds in all of this together. It is like the eyes in the sky for your agents now. Like how you would have Entra ID to sort of manage your users. Like that, now you have Agent 365, which also works with Entra ID. Now, under Agent 365, a lot of issues such as governance, regulation of your agents, making sure they're in line with your organization's needs, organization's aspects. So all that is done by Agent 365 now. Agent 365 is the control plane here where you can define who gets what access to agents, what sort of agents can be built, what parameters can be used while building out an agent. So Agent 365 sort of binds in all of your M365 and your Azure pieces together to have a unified control plane over your agents.
That's great. I don't think this is anything new that you couldn't do. It was just much more intensive, right? Now you have this centralized portal that you can get an overall view of what's going on, right? And so I think where a lot of people have come into your M365 Copilot and creating agents because it's really easy. You just, talk natural language and it creates that. And then as you start stepping into the next boundaries and Copilot Studio, a little more advanced flows, and then Foundry, where you're really starting to customize your models and your agents to output what you need. One thing that we've always talked about up until Agent 365 going GA was how do you get that comprehensive overview? How do you know what agents are stale, what isn't stale? There's a lot of rapid development. So what I've seen a lot of organizations saying, hey, we're trying to build this builder culture that, hey, I want you to go build agents to automate your minutia workflows, right? Like your everyday tasks that can be really easily automated. And so we've seen people really get into and start creating these agents, but then oftentimes as they grow and evolve, they're not updating, they're creating new, or you get multiple people creating the same agent that it's really hard to get that overview without actually going and asking the people what's happening or what's going on. So when you create this control plane, I'm assuming, Shahid, that now we're getting this holistic view over our entire tenant and what's happening and being able to see what these agents are doing, who's using them, how often, etc. Awesome. So now we're really starting to change that sprawl into more of a structured enterprise organization of these agents and be able to effectively use them.
That's right.
So talk to me about this agent sprawl. I brought it up a little bit, but if you could dive a little deeper into what you're seeing inside of clients and the industry around this sprawl and kind of your perspective on what's happening with, the potential of having stale agents just kind of sitting out there.
So AI agents are being created everywhere across Microsoft tools and beyond. The issue is there isn't no often centralized governance. Again, that leads to shadow agents, meaning there are agents in your organization, but they don't have an owner to it. So it's like, just like a spy agent is lurking in the background and doing stuff without your knowledge. And then you have unmanaged data access. Something that we talked about earlier is that, agents are sort of accessing data that is not meant to be accessed. And then you have agents operating outside beyond the security policies. So we want the agents to work within defined security policies, and most organizations don't even have the full visibility into it. So you have now organizations that are rapidly adopting Copilot, extending Copilot to the users to boost productivity. And they are letting users also create agents to sort of dilute the minutia and like reduce the repetitive tasks such as email creation, Word file creation, stuff like that. But then those agents also need to know what data they can access, who can it be accessed by, when it can be accessed by. So stuff like that, those sort of boundaries and guidelines need to be established now for their agents.
And I think on top of that, really, I think the bigger problem has been somewhat less of security, right? There is a big security implication, but since it's all tied into the same environment, your Defender and your SharePoint permissions still persist, right? As long as the agent was created with a user that is managed within or if you're struggling with setting up your security posture, then it has unfettered access to any of your documents, which kind of goes to what you were talking about. Outside of those kind of security issues, really the bigger issue has just kind of been the visibility issue of, well, let me get my hands around what has everybody created from an IT perspective, right? And how to manage that. And it sounds like Agent 365, that's like the biggest attempt at the product. It has many capabilities, but really it's giving you that easy access portal, just like what we have in Defender and Azure and all these portals to really easily build out these reports and see what's going on and manage that proactively.
That's right. So that is the issue here. You can't go on what you see.
Sure, absolutely. So now that we've kind of framed what Agent 365 is, can you kind of introduce it and show us a little bit about what the new Agent 365 portal looks like and what somebody could expect in going in, and how does it actually provide that visibility into agents that we've been talking about?
I'm just going to do a quick walkthrough of what Agent 365 is, how it looks like, how it feels like. So typically, Agent 365 is access to your admin center. It comes under agents, and then here you go. Agent 365 is up and running. Typically, you will have a whole access to all of the agents in your environment that is available to you, that has been created by an organization, and you can filter them out as per who has created them, what sort of platform. So you have multiple filters here now that you can sort by. You can see which agents are at a risk, which agents are without owners. Take a look at your shadow AI into your agent, into your environment. So nowadays you have people using Claude, people using Cortex, so many other models that are coming into place. So that is a competitive environment, right? You have models competing with each other uh, for more ease of access and more output. So organizations want to know that what sort of models you're using and what sort of shadow AI is being done in the background. Uh, this tool here is not to limit any sort of work in AI. It's to make sure that the work done by AI is governed and is compliant. Um, it's a quick walkthrough of, let's say I have few agents in my Entra. So typically Entra ID was used to manage just users and devices and groups. But now Entra looks at agents as a user itself. Going forward, Entra has this a long-term vision that now agents are going to be part of your environment. They're going to be like
Hmm.
real people in your organizations who are going to do the heavy lifting for you. So they need to be treated like human beings now. So how do you treat them as human beings? You assign them identities. You give them the identity that you give a user. Similarly, you give to an agent as well. And when you give an identity to an agent, you can apply conditional access policy, conditional
Hmm.
policies. You can put them in groups. So you have those granular aspect on those agents now. What can be done by the agent, when they can access, what time they can access. So you're not treating as a simple workflow anymore at this point. You are treating those agents like a human being at this point. So here's a quick peek on how an agent looks like. You can assign it conditional access policies. You can check what times they sign in, audit logs. So it is like treating an actual human being at this point.
That's great. I think, that really opens up because, you get into a big problem where, well, if users own this, right, and you get to the next step of maybe, Shahid, you created a great agent, but now I want to go use that agent. You want to deploy to the organization. Well, now I might not have the same experience because you may have permissions to something that I don't have, right? And now that agent is it, great from a security perspective, but from a usability perspective on your great agent, now I can't get that full functionality. So then what's the next step, right? Is like, okay, let's create a service account. And now this just makes that easier from what I'm seeing to really manage how do we create these service accounts that then everybody, and we can deploy these agents in the enterprise more easily, and everybody gets a unified experience because now you're acting on behalf of whatever permissions that service account or that agent user has, right?
Yeah. Um,
And what I also love, then excuse me, what I also love is now we're starting to get that auditing, right? Um and being able to have that detailed audit log from a security perspective. So if something does get accessed, now if you have to go do that security report, you can clearly identify, hey, it was this single person, not some weird permission thing where maybe you didn't have permission, you gave me the agent, I actually have more permission and gave me way more information that I should not have been seeing. So, I know all our security people out there are probably going to love being able to have that audit log.
100%.
Awesome. So what else is inside of the portal that maybe you can kind of show us around and what we can expect to see?
Sure thing. Coming back to Agent 365. So here we have an agent. So I'm going to take one agent as an example, and then we're going to, walk through the whole environment and see what can be done with this one particular agent here. So I have an agent here created in Foundry. And then earlier we touched upon something that, hey, we need a service account or a service principal, and then like we can use that one identity, and then we can sort of deploy it across the enterprise. So that's where we have something called blueprints come into place. So your blueprints sort of manage all those agents. For those who are into IAM sphere, the ones who work with Entra, they work something called as groups. And here we have those groups. So similar to those blueprints, those groups, the blueprints are a similar aspect here. So you can deploy your agents within those blueprints. So there's no deviation from your your defined guidelines. So let's take a look at then. So here we have the blueprints, but then like I want to bring up the portal back here again for a second, and then talk about agent registry here. So agent registry, or the whole feature here is that you get a bird's eye view into what agents are there in your environment. This dashboard here automatically picks up all those agents that are being detected in your environment. They could be co-pilot agents, could be third-party agents, they could be Foundry agents, security co-pilot agents. So all sort of agents get populated in this field over here. Even those agents without at risk, those without owners, they get populated here. So right now, I don't have agents at risk or owners. So it says that, oh, maybe I'm compliant and I have a complete control over my agents. That is partially true as well. But then there's something called registry sync now. So the more I start to sync in my environment, the more the more connectors I bring into my environment, the greater visibility I get into my agent landscape. So coming to security and threat protection. So now Defender is being integrated with Agent 365, and Defender sort of picks up the signals from Agent 365 and uses those signals into the Defender dashboard to give IT admins and security admins more holistic view into their agentic security landscape and what sort of inventory they're working with now, because an efficient security team is one who knows what the inventory is of users, devices. Now, agents are part of the inventory as well. And then we have data governance that is key in today's time, making sure who has what access. So similarly, now agents also need to know what access they have, who can access those agents, and what sort of data and what sort of location they can access. And finally, you have the observability, that is your telemetry. You get complete telemetry, what active users are there, who are using what agents, what runtime is being done, agent exceptions, owners, pending requests. So those sort of analytics are now available to all these admins. So you're covering identity, security, data, and visibility all in one.
Yeah, I love that, because I think I oftentimes get frustrated when I have to click into multiple windows just to go query that, right? And so now, as you get into when you're using all your tools, you can essentially access all of them in each individual tool, right? And query across. Whether I'm in Purview or Defender, I can access agent information, or if I'm in Agent 365, vice versa, right?
Right.
So it makes that actual management really nice, because I'm not sprawling everywhere just to go piece together a whole bunch of information to get insights. Great. So that kind of opens up, like, this is what the control plane is, right? And
Mhm.
for Agent 365, bringing all those tools, as I was just explaining, all in to one house. So if I'm a CISO or an agent governor inside of my organization, what would quickly, like, why does all of this matter? Maybe I've already established my flows on how we're managing our organization. What would really drive me to go abandon all of that and kind of move into this Agent 365 ecosystem?
Because agent adoption is rapidly accelerating at this point. There's a report by IDC that we will see over 1 billion agents in the next few years. and that is on path. You see all Fortune 1000 at this point who are actively adopting agents.
Hmm.
And most organizations have agents being built, but often without IT oversight. So without governance, you introduce security gaps, compliance risk, operational inconsistency. So Agent 365 gives organizations a way to scale AI adoption without introducing unmanaged risk.
So obviously governance isn't going to slow down. If anything, it's going to continue on a upward trajectory. As new models and ease of actually building these things.
Exactly.
Because this isn't a new problem, right? AI agents and AI has existed for many, many years. The thing that has exploded it, now anyone can go and create these things, right? Very easily and just talking natural language, and it's building all the back end for you, which opens it up, which is great because now you can have people really accelerating their productivity. Not so great from the IT side where you're trying to manage this and figure out how you're going to do it. So I think for those people out in the industry now that have kind of are duct taping and bailing wire the security posture, and on the other side maybe even going, nope, we're going to pause, no one can do this, right? Which is seems to be almost a death sentence now for many organizations, is if you're not using these, you're falling behind quickly, rapidly, faster than new emerging tech in the past. It's quickly turning into, it's not an option to adopt, you must adopt to survive, but also you have to do that without jeopardizing your users of your product or your application, et cetera, right? And so
Exactly.
winding up on these things, it's going to be a constant game of realizing new tools. And I love how Microsoft is taking the steps early to go, hey, we provided all the tools up front. We've seen this explosion. We immediately need to pivot into something to help our IT professionals be able to wrangle how fast all of this is accelerating, right? To where, traditionally it's been more of your IT engineers that have been able to build this stuff traditionally. Now, when you have every user inside of an organization being able to do it, that's really hard to manage with even the biggest IT staffs, right? And so I love how Microsoft has taken that next step into going, hey, let's pause on rolling out, having a focus of rolling out more advanced features, but let's make sure that we're also keeping up with our development of these features with some way to constantly um, have an audit and overview and governance of these things, because those two have to go hand in.
Exactly.
So, we've had the honor of being a launch partner with this Agent 365 platform. So I would love to know, how are you and your team, if I were a client coming into Valorem and asking, okay, great, I love the content, we struggle with this, we need help. How do we come in and help, and how does having the designation of a launch partner enable us to uniquely help individuals get ramped up into this?
So the perks of being a launch partner is that we got early access into what Agent 365 looks like. And so we've had access to a lot of preview features beforehand itself. You're able to interact with the Microsoft team, get a feedback on why they look at Agent 365 as the next big important thing, and we sort of gave them our honest feedback on how the product can be improved, how it can integrate well with the customers environment, and that led, and all that feedback and the discussions, the discoveries all led to us having sort of an idea or a blueprint on creating a workshop that we can implement with our customers. So I thought, like, let's walk through an implementation plan, or let's walk through a workshop that we have in place for our customers, and, like, how a customer can get started with Agent 365.
Sure. What does that look like? What is that kind of timeline? If I want to get engaged, I need help today. What would that look like?
So it is typically a 6-week implementation workshop. It starts with a discovery. So we go into your environment together over the shoulder. We look at your environment. We take a look at all the workloads that are being done. You have your Copilot, you have your Foundry. So we sit together and we do a discovery of all your agents, and we start inventorying all your agents. And then we evaluate every agent if it's compliant. Does it have an owner? Does it have the proper conditional access in it? So
Sure.
all that in discovery stuff is done in the first phase. Then we move on to the design. We sit together with the client, and then we start working with them on defining what does governance models look like, what roles each agent needs, like what sort of policies need to be in place. Then once we have that governance in place, we move into the deployment of that. We start a small pilot group. We take a few agents into those group, and then we start applying those roles, those policies to those specific agents, and we study the interaction. How well they're doing? Is there any limitations of data? Is the data being manipulated or not? Is there a disruption in the productivity of employees? So all that sort of parameters are studied, and then we fine tune that pilot group of agents, and then we give them move towards validation phase, where we take this one pilot group of agents and we make sure that it meets the business needs of an organization. If it's actually translating into a business objective that were laid out initially.
Yeah, I caught on to a couple words in there that I really like in that you were explaining you're sitting with, right? As opposed to getting hired in, going and configuring everything and then going, hey, it's all set up, you're good to go. But then you're left in an organization that now I have to figure out how to manage all of this, right? And so something that I think is key to this is having that organizational understanding of the tool, how it works, how to use it, not only from your IT staff, but also that education inside of here, where I know we've got a lot of ancillary workshops that the more everybody knows inside of this system, the better agents that can get created at the start, because they know how to implement them, how to organize them, how to feed into the IT governance and security, right? And so then your innovation inside of your org gets to be more rapid, as opposed to just keep tossing agents over the fence and then IT has to figure it out and chase it down. And then you're halting your productivity as an organization. And so sitting down hand in hand, pair programming, pair configuring, these really helps an organization be able to go, hey, we finished the validation, and now they're able just to kind of pick up and keep going with the momentum. So that's great. Great, I think, for clients to be able to utilize that and utilize that launch partner expertise that we've already been through. We've clicked the buttons, we've found the issues, and we know how to remediate or work around them to get this implemented as fast as possible, right? As this was just kind of rolled out in GA just a couple weeks ago, correct?
Just May 1st.
Yeah, May 1st. So I'm sure everybody is looking to rapidly figure out how to implement this tooling and get it up and running. So what do you know with the rollout of this? What SKUs get this by default?
So Agent 365 now is in GA, meaning customers can go into Marketplace and get a Agent 365 license for themselves. The good news is right now, you get trial licenses in Marketplace. So you can get trial license for 1 month for 25 users. Microsoft is letting organizations go in, you get an early feeler of how Agent 365 looks like, and then have the IT admins and the AI admins work around with Agent 365.
Right.
So the pricing for the Agent 365 is $15 per user. That is the add-on. But then there's something larger picture that Microsoft has introduced now. That's called the E7 license. So that is a bundle license of your E5 features, Entra Suite, and your Agent 365. So this is something that Microsoft is heading towards in the future. You'll see more organizations adopting E7 down the line.
Got it. Yet another SKU to add to the mix. I love it. So with that, what is that? Can you kind of go into that E7 SKU and what does it abstract out of the E5 SKU again?
Yeah. So E5, so a high level view of what E5 is. You get a complete access of the security features, the whole Defender suite, the whole Purview suite, all your M365 productivity tools in place. But the thing is, you do not get Copilot with that. You need to get an add-on for Copilot. You don't get, if I'm not mistaken, you don't get the whole control over agents in E5. And you have only entropy, but in E7 now, the reason why Microsoft is sort of giving you complete access to Entra Suite in E7 is because agents, coming to our earlier point at the start of the conversation, is agents are being treated as human beings now, part of your organizations.
Sure.
To extend that complete IAM capability of Entra to agents, this is where E7 comes into place. This is where the whole Entra Suite is being collapsed to E7. So you have all the features of Entra Suite at this point. That is a really great bundle at this point. It sort of rivals Okta at this stage here. So in your E7 SKU, you have complete IAM governance over agents. You have Copilot folded in to your E7 license as well, and your whole Defender suite, Purview suite, productivity tools as well.
It's really the AI agent SKU. I like it. Awesome. It really simplifies things, right? Because I think oftentimes in clients we get into this, we have the ideas and then it's like, what SKUs do I need? Where do I need them? What do I do? Being able to simplify that and being like, hey, if you're looking to do AI agent exploration inside of your organization are already there. You don't have to piecemeal all of these add-ons into an additional E5 SKU. You can just go to the E7 and you have every bit of it from creation to management to governance. Awesome. So zooming out a little bit, what's the bigger takeaway, right? Like everybody needs to governance agents. Agents are no longer optional. People are creating them everywhere for everyday tasks up to organizational enterprise productivity. So yeah, just take me through what that bigger picture is in all of this.
So AI agents are becoming a core part of how our work gets done, right? So without
Sure.
governance, they introduce risk as quickly as they create value.
Mm.
So Agent 365 brings those agents into enterprise control plane. Just a high recap here, aligning identity, security, and data governance. It's what allows organizations to move fast without losing control.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were touching on earlier, right? Is all of this is really great and you can accelerate super fast, but one of two things is going to happen, right? Is you're going to lack that governance, and so you're going to pay for it later, or you're implementing so much governance up front that you don't create that culture of makers that are going to be able to create this because they can't ever get anything through or can't connect to everything. And so breaking down those two barriers when thinking about this really unlocks one from the IT and protection of the enterprise and the organization, but on the other side allows you to build that culture change to say, hey, the expectation is that you're creating these agents to help out with your everyday minutia tasks, unlocking you, as we've talked in many episodes, being able to now concentrate on the expertise that you have created in your industry and your training and your education to really now think of those bigger ideas that organizations really haven't been able to get to just because they're trying to keep their head above water, right? With the management of everything. So if you can build those processes to essentially be able to take that deep breath and rest easy and know that you're protected, it unlocks everything else downstream, right? Awesome. So wrapping up, as we've kind of talked about, agents are here. They're not going anywhere. Your people are going to use them whether you're ready or not. And, as shadow IT and as people have always done in these technological roles, if they have a will, they'll find a way, whether that is inside of your governance and protection or taking stuff outside, which is really the constant worry, right? Is like, hey, I want to use these tools to be productive, and then people start finding ways to download and extract and use it outside in their own personal tools, and then your data's shared everywhere and trained on. And so really having these products to keep it inside, enable your people to get their work done and be able to explore these awesome tools is really where we're at, and it's not going anywhere. And so I really appreciate you breaking down Agent 365. I'm excited to see where it continues to grow, right? We're only 10 days post-release of this going GA. So I really see this as a huge opportunity for organizations to adopt and really continue their AI journey and their agent journey in really accelerating what their organization can do, both from revenue and margin on productivity and ultimately providing value out to the consumer as well. So thanks again for sitting down and kind of going through. I look forward to checking back with you later down the road as it continues to mature and the platform continues to grow.
Thank you, Andrew. Great conversation.
If you are looking for additional information, as always, if you go to valoremreply.com and click the Connect tab at the top, you will be able to get in touch with us. As we mentioned earlier, we are a launch partner for Agent 365. So if you want to sit down with some of our consultants and really understand how Agent 365 has evolved pre-GA, and maybe some questions on configuration, we'd be more than happy to sit down and schedule time to have that discussion and help you out getting Agent 365 configured and unlocking your organization. So thanks for tuning in to Valorem Visions, and we'll see you next time.